The standard ball used in a game of roulette is about 2 inches across and is made of 18 grams of white ivory. After 1,000 spins at 10 different luck levels, that ball and its wheel got the best of us. A slot machine can draw anywhere from 100 to 250 watts of electricity. We finally found victory when we faced this metal beast, showing a clear correlation between our luck level and our profits plundered. Today we stand against 52 combatants on the green felt battlefields of the Tops Casino as we try to find out definitively how much does luck actually matter in Fallout New Vegas. If you're jumping into this little experiment now, stick around. I will be explaining what you have missed up to this point shortly, but I do recommend checking out parts 1 and 2 after we wrap up here. In part 1, we started on our quest to try to put a number to the idea that luck helps your gambling in Fallout New Vegas. We tried roulette and discovered that New Vegas, being a rushed game, had not included any translation between luck and roulette, past some screen pop-ups. Not too dissuaded, however, we pushed on into part 2, spinning those slots 1,000 times to finally come out with some data proving that with 6 luck and over, you could finally turn the tides in your favor and steal some winnings from under the noses of the man. This leaves us with just one final game, the one that I've been dreading since the idea popped into my head. Blackjack. The difference between Blackjack and the previous two is the simple idea of choice. With slots, you just spin the wheel, and with at least how I did roulette for this experiment, I just had to bet on black every time. However, for Blackjack, I have to play perfectly. You see, the way Blackjack works is that you get dealt 2 cards representing number values. The objective of the game is to keep adding more cards to get closer and closer to 21. If you go over 21, however, you break, you lose, and it's over. You're just playing against the house, who has the same objective as you: get to 21, don't go over. In each position of the game, there is a mathematically best option for you to choose. Whether to take a risk, get another card, or to stay and hope that you can beat whatever the dealer has to show. There are some other things you can do, but they're not really that important for this explanation. This is all to say that there's always a best choice to make, and if I wanted some standard results, I'd have to make it every single time. Playing this way is known as basic strategy, and will win you back about 99.5% of your money if you played forever with infinite money. These are the best odds we've taken on so far, but again, this requires you to play perfectly. With the picture loaded up telling me exactly what to do in every position, we hit the tops for the 3rd time. We're starting the process again with 1 luck. And to nobody's surprise, we lost. And we lost pretty bad. Ending down 36 caps gave us our benchmark of a 64% win percentage. Now, the fact we lost wasn't that surprising, but the nature that it had just occurred was unexpected. I'd never played Blackjack with this level of luck stat before, so I just assumed the dealer would always get 20s and 21s and that I would always bust. That's not quite what happened, however. Don't get me wrong, the dealer was always getting their fair share of Blackjacks. But I noticed something as I was playing. I kept feeling like I was getting my hopes up, only for them to very quickly be dashed. It was clear that not only was the house starting out way ahead, they were getting a lot of help along the way to get to that finish line. I needed to look at just a little closer, so I examined all the hands in which the dealer was originally dealt a bust card. In Blackjack, a bust card is in which you're expecting the dealer to bust with, or break 21. The bust cards are commonly referred to as 4, 5, and 6, the idea being that the dealer will have a 14, 15, or 16. The dealer has to keep hitting until they get 17, so when they get another card, it'll be too much and you'll win. Since you're hoping that the dealer busts, you can play more passively and not take any risks. The dealer is expected to be dealt a bust card about 23% of the time, and after 100 hands, we'd seen 16 of them. A little bit off the mark, but not insanely, especially for only being at 1 luck. Now, when the dealer starts with a bust card, they're supposed to bust a little over 40% of the time. Do you know how many times they bust? 0. And not only did they not bust, they got to 21 5 of the 16, and 20 another 6. Making it to 20 or 21 almost 70% of the time, when they were supposed to bust 40% of the time. Clearly, more work was getting put into this game than just shifting the odds so the dealers got better cards out of the gate. There was actual malice in the code, being designed to build up your hopes and tear you down for even daring to sit at the tables with that level luck stat. And they even started to taunt you. Up until this point, the previous casino games, you would sometimes receive a pop-up claiming you feel lucky at the higher luck levels, although sometimes it didn't really mean anything. But now I was starting to see a pop up I'd never seen before. You feel unlucky. I'm not quite sure what the criteria was for this message showing up. We were seeing crazy bad beats without it anyway. With all said and done, we walked away down 36 caps with a win percentage of 64. Not great by any metrics, but we were able to scrape by with some wins and quite a few pushes. Moving on to 2 luck was pretty much the exact same thing we had gotten used to with 1 luck. Whole lot of losses with a whole lot of bad beats. We ended up behind a couple more caps than we had previously been, losing 39 caps this run as opposed to just 36. I don't know if anyone was truly waiting on the edge of their seats to say if they should bump up their luck stat from 1 to 2 before hitting the casino, but I guess I can say with some confidence it's not really worth it. Now luck 3 on the other hand, it's not much better. It's actually interesting just how similar lucks 1, 2, and 3 were to each other. Luck 3 gives us a winning percentage of 65%. Sure, that's the highest we've seen so far, but it's only 1% better than we saw with luck 1. In my slots video, I made an observation regarding lucks 1 through 3 being grouped together. It's also pretty promising that lucks 1, 2, and 3 were just so consistently bad. I wonder if they're grouped together in their own category for things like this, titled Bad Day or something. Now at the time, that was just an offhand comment, but I think there might actually be some merit to it. There was no noticeable gameplay changes between 1 and 3 luck, with them all being within the same 5 cap buffer of each other. Now this would only be a viable theory if we saw a massive jump in performance at 4 luck, which we do. Luck 4 brings that win percentage we've been seeing in the 60 to 65% range, all the way up to 94%. It was not a gradual climb out of the pits of low luck, it was a slingshot. And this was the exact same behavior we had seen with slots. On the top, I have lucks 1 through 4 graphed from our run in the slots, and on the bottom, I have where we are right now. There's a clear difference that going from 3 to 4 luck makes. That's just not there when you go from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 luck. And sure, you're still losing with 4 luck and should really stay away, but what if the same pattern was in other places that luck was used? It may be something to keep in mind if you're going to kick off a new run. Stay away from 2 or 3 luck, just run luck 1 and save the special points. It's interesting to note that at luck 4 you're no longer getting the dreaded "you feel unlucky" text. 4 luck was when I finally started to get some air, and every hand didn't feel so rigged from the start. Only leaving down 6 caps means we were able to steal some wins, and nothing really felt that fishy. Let's keep the good times moving as we move on to luck 5, and they do keep rolling as we see our first win, leaving 6 caps up for a change. I went into this assuming 5 luck would be just like playing Blackjack with a real life deck of cards, and that's exactly what we got. Nothing really to note, except that there was nothing to note. I could have gone to the local casino and had the exact same experience, barring the radiation and the magical floating deck. Luck 6 turns us right around, however, as we dip back into the red. We didn't quite fall too far, leaving down 11 caps, but we're still left worse off than we were with luck 5 and even luck 4. Now with slots 6 luck was our first true winner, so I was not really expecting this result. Didn't feel like there was any otherworldly reasons for my losses with these 100 hands, just like bad luck in general. It's interesting that the last 3 luck stats all felt pretty much the same. Just as you can group 1 through 3 luck together, you could do the same with 4 through 6. Now as much as I'm enjoying playing standard Blackjack, I would really like to see some real wins roll in. I'm looking to you luck 7, it's your time to shine. And boy did she shine. Just as we saw a massive jump between lucks 3 and 4, we saw an even bigger one entering luck 7. We walked away 42 caps up, putting that paltry 6 cap winning from luck 5 to shame. We're finally starting to feel lucky again, apparently, which I definitely was feeling in the real world as well. Getting out of a couple nasty spots with just the right cards at just the right time. This was more of what I'm used to, and I could tell that if I'd upped my bets and kept on going, I could be rich and kicked out of here in no time. But in the name of science, I quit after 100 hands and moved on to 8 luck. 8 luck wasn't really anything to write home about, a small boost over 7 luck, but not an insane leap. 8 more caps to walk away with is an improvement, but I'm definitely starting to notice a pattern with groups of luck values acting almost identically. We have 2 more luck values to test, 9 and 10, so we can reevaluate my grouping theory after we have all that done. Luck 9 came in with another massive jump, bringing us up to a win percentage of 180% after leaving with an 80 cap profit. You definitely feel untouchable at this point. I was still having to focus to make sure I made all the correct moves, but I doubt it really mattered at this point. Sure, I still lost some hands, but they were surprised when that happened, and I definitely got there way more times than I should have. Rounding us off with 10 luck was a very similar experience. although apparently a slight bit less winning only 75 caps, which was a slight dip that we saw last round. But what is different is that the final card dealt on my 1000th hand, I was finally done. Now all that's left to do is take a look at the data that's in front of us. Throwing everything up onto this plot, it should be no surprise to see that as the luck goes up, you win more. I kept bringing this idea of groups of luck stats that you could group together. Luck's 1 to 2 is not a 10% bump, 2 to 3, nor is 3 to 4. There are these big jumps at Luck's 4, 7, and 9. By graphing the differences between these stats, you can see these jumps pretty clearly. It seems like a lot of effort was put into this small gambling minigame to give the player different experiences. It probably would have been a lot easier just to adjust some value and give the player X% more blackjacks based on their luck level, but that's not what Obsidian did. They created 4 distinct gambling experiences for the player to see, with 1 to 3 luck being such an oppressive feeling that no matter what you did, you will be beaten. 4 to 6 luck, showing you your average night on the strip. 7 to 8 luck, finally giving you a taste of the good life. And 9 to 10 luck, representing just a feeling of invincibility. As the caps keep rolling in, and the only thing the casinos can do to stop you is to kick you out and prevent you from gambling there ever again. After my run-in with roulette, I walked away confused as to how one of my favorite games could be missing such a key feature. But now, I'm just simply reminded of how this became one of my favorite games in the first place. Thank you guys again for your support. You provided in parts 1 and 2. These videos took a long time to pump out, and I'm glad you guys seem to like them. There were some pretty interesting suggestions on different betting strategies to try and different variables like bet sizing, and I'd be interested in looking at them in the future, but I got a good number of other ideas I want to flesh out before I return to the Tops Casino, so keep a lookout for those, and you can feel free to drop anything else you might want to see down below. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your day.